I'm gonna start the show myself. The first thing I'm gonna do is a story that you probably already heard, but I don't, maybe you haven't. It's a good story. Hi. So you know how when you go to see your favorite band in concert and you really hope that they're gonna play your favorite song, that you're just sort of, I mean, you're excited to hear the new stuff, but there's also a part of you that's just waiting for them to play the song that you love, right? Well, so I have the opposite feeling with comedians for some reason, that when they tell the same joke 3 or 4 times, I feel like I'm at a family reunion and not a fun one. So I generally try not to tell the same story more than once, or at least not more than once in the same place. But this is a story that I have told before, but it's just so good. So if you have been to a Comedius show before, you can maybe, I don't know, go get a drink. But maybe you'll like it. Okay, so when I was a little girl, dinner was serious business. We would sit down, we would say grace, and then you weren't allowed to leave the table for anything until the end of the meal. And the only exception to this was if you had to look something up. Like if we were having a disagreement about who was the president in 1940, I could be excused from the table to look that up. This was before the internet, so I'd look it up in the family encyclopedia. And so I could get up from the table to look things up, and as a result, I have always associated knowledge with freedom. You know how there's that website that's like, let me Google that for you, and it's supposed to be sarcastic? No, seriously, please let me Google that for you. I want to. I'm a know-it-all. I love knowing everything. I try not to be a dick about it, but I mean, I don't like being wrong. Nobody likes being wrong, and if somebody tells me that I'm wrong, like, I appreciate it, but I'm usually right. I usually looked it up. When I was little, I had this Aunt Millie. She was a Southern Belle. I don't know if you know what a Southern Belle is. The Southern Belle is an iron fist in a velvet glove. Like, they know everything. They know everything. They know when you're fucking up, and they never tell you. Like, if you really mess up with a Southern Belle, they look at you and they go, well, bless your heart. I mean, if you ever want to feel really bad, get a Southern lady to tell you, well, bless your heart. I spent summers with my Aunt Millie. One summer when I was there, we watched Princess Diana's wedding. That's how old I am. We watched Princess Diana's wedding, the British ladies showing up in these crazy hats, and Aunt Millie explained to me that the hats were actually required. British women apparently have to wear crazy hats to weddings and to the Royal Ascot. The Royal Ascot is a horse race. I know about gloves. Yeah, like gloves are measured in buttons. And an opera glove, which goes up to here, that's 16 button. That's a 16 button glove. I know about hats. In addition to the hats that you would have to wear if you were British, there's a cocktail hat, which kind of drips down in the front. There's a cloche hat. There's a pillbox hat, which is what Jackie Kennedy was wearing when her husband was shot. Important stuff. I know about service à la Russe, which you start with the fork that's on the outside and work your way in. I know stuff. When I finished university, I moved to Japan, which was, I moved to Japan to teach English. Like, I learned how to eat service à la Russe, and then I moved to a country where they don't even use forks. But I was getting along okay. And one time I was teaching a class. I had a bit of a rough night. So that day I didn't have time to do my hair, so I put on a hat. I've always been this kind of person. People come up to me and they go, oh, that looks so nice. I wish I could wear a hat. And I think, do you not have a head? Because, you know, that's all you really need to wear a hat. But anyway, so I was wearing a hat. I had a hangover. My hair looked like shit, but it was a drop brim halo hat. I looked great. And the director walked past the classroom door, came back, called me out into the hallway and told me it's rude to wear a hat indoors, which I didn't know it was rude. And so I was like, wow, I didn't know it was rude in Japan to wear a hat indoors. And he said, no, it's rude in America to wear a hat indoors. I told him, no, actually for a woman to wear a hat indoors, assuming she's not the host, for a woman to wear a hat indoors is actually quite polite. Like we wear them to church. I mean, it wasn't a cowboy hat. It was a dropped brim halo hat. And he told me that I could either take off the hat and return to my class or go home and think about it. I was right. So I went home, thought about hats. Yeah, that's me, right? Like so often right and so often unemployed. When I left Japan, I moved back to the States. I moved to California, where I could sometimes get Japanese food, which was basically the only thing I really missed about Japan was the food. One time I was out on a date with a guy. And he said, do you want to go out for Japanese food? Which I said, yes. So we're out on a date for Japanese food. Now, one of the things that I learned in Japan is that although you can eat with chopsticks, it is also correct to eat sushi with your fingers. So I'm out and I think I'm going to impress this person with my outstanding Japanese manners. So I reach for the sushi, fish side down with my hand. And he said, do you need a fork? And I said, no, I'm fine. And he called the waiter over, like this kind of date, called the waiter over to get me a fork. And he said, well, I'm really surprised that you don't know how to use chopsticks. I thought you lived in Japan. And I shared my knowledge with him. So often right, so often single. When I left Japan, when I left California, I moved to Moravia, which is where I am now. I'd learned a lot about wine when I lived in California, and when I moved to Moravia, which is sort of the wine drinking region of the Czech Republic, I was ready to share and drop knowledge. They do drink a lot of wine here, but they drink it in 2-liter plastic bottles. So it's good, but it's not snobby. Well, one time I was another date out in a restaurant and the waiter brought over the wine that I had chosen. And I said it was the wine that I had chosen because the label matched what I asked for. And they offered me the cork to smell. And I said I didn't need to smell it because I'm from California and I know these things. If you're going to smell the wine in your glass, then you don't need to smell the wine on the cork. You can see the cork from where you are. You don't need to smell it. So I told him no, I didn't need to smell the cork. No, I don't want to smell the cork. So he turns to my date and goes, tell her to smell the cork. This guy said, yeah, no, she's not going to smell the cork. Better date. I married him and went on to get Czech citizenship. I lived in the South in the United States, and I lived in Japan, and I lived in California, and I've lived in Moravia. Then I got Czech citizenship. And then I decided to establish long-term residency on the internet. Been on Facebook for a while. What do I know about the internet? What I know about the internet is that anybody who starts a sentence with or well actually is probably a douchebag and is also about to make a mistake, a typo or something else. I moderate a couple of sites, and sometimes I don't get to sleep on time because somebody's wrong on the internet. But mostly I just watch. Mostly I've realized I don't have time to teach everybody everything. I don't have to Google everything for everybody. Mostly I just watch. And I do this meditation that I invented called the kitten meditation, which is, have you ever seen a basket of kittens? So cute, right? And when kittens mess up, they're adorable. So when I see people fighting on the internet, I just close my eyes and I picture a basket of kittens. And I go, aw, look, it's trying to think. And that gets me through. The other day, this was before the pandemic, the other day I was walking with a friend of mine, and we were walking on Pelikova Street, which is one of the cutest streets in Brno, Pelikova Street. And I said that I thought that this was one of the cutest streets in Brno because I'm consistent. And she said, you know what I hate? I hate it when foreigners mispronounce Czech. And I also hate it when foreigners mispronounce Czech. And I said, okay. And she said, because it's spelled with a C. So it should be pronounced Pelitsova Street. And like, here's what I know. It's named Pelikova Street after Silvio Pellico, who was imprisoned at Spielberg. And so we would pronounce it with a hard C, because it's the same way that we don't pronounce Tesco as Testso, right? So I was going to drop that knowledge on her. Going to be smart. But I'm already unemployed, and I already don't get dates, and I don't really want to burn all my friendships. So I closed my eyes, thought about kittens, thought about all the things that I know, thought about my aunt, thought about gloves and hats and wine. And I looked at her and I said, well, bless your heart.